let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:03. I'll entertain a motion to call the Board of Health to order.
So moved.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Just for a note, you should have had in your box copies of bills from the electrician who did the work on the property in question. And while we don't have a letter from the electrician stating that everything has been done, we have to assume that they were talking about smoke detectors and the new,
GFIs.
well, that was on the first
No,
invoice.
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
2 double gang boxes, et cetera,
Yeah.
that they have finished the work that was required.
Oh, what's the index?
Somebody's happy.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's Kurt, okay.
so we're gonna make an assumption that that work has been completed and, right, I mean, there's no letter that says that, all there is the invoice.
And well, we were well aware we were waiting for an electrician, so I have to assume
Yeah.
that that's what we were waiting for. We never actually got a breakdown on it. So I would entertain a motion to rescind the health order. I can't even remember the date of it. What do I want to say?
It's August 7th or something like that. I didn't put it in these minutes, it's been in the other ones, so. You want me to look it up?
Yes,
Okay, the order is dated August 7th.
It's easy.
So the motion is to rescind the health order issued on August 7th against Amanda Thomas.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of rescinding that health order signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? You gonna vote, Kit?
No.
You're not gonna vote? No. But then you have to say you're abstaining.
oh, let's see.
Okay, then I'll vote yes. The motion passes. All right, so I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Health for no other business.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, hold on. OJS 606.
Abstentions, motion passes. So then moving back into calling to order again the Select Board. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from November 2nd, 2015.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of November 2nd, 2015 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting on November 10th, 2015.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the meetings of the special meeting on November 10th, 2015 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
I'll vote yes, motion passes. Any additions or deletions? We need to add to new business, a sign off on the Army Corps on the new culvert. Is there anything else that needs to be added or deleted?
Somewhere on there, you probably want to at least acknowledge this proposal for road inventory and capital budget proposal from Mr. Hammond. I had that under highway.
Why don't we put it up there then?
Yeah, on the highway.
And I'd like under old business FEMA update.
Under old business.
Yeah, I can make it new if you want, but it's old.
Okay.
Somewhere, do you wanna put, that request from Chad about closing State Forest Road?
If you want to, that's fine. I mean, I already, I ran it past the board, but we can add that in there as
Well,
well.
it should
Maybe as a
be.
correspondence.
it should be
And,
something.
yeah, well, we need to announce it if you
Yeah.
are gonna do that.
So,
Okay, yeah,
what were
correspondence.
the dates on that?
Sometime, and we don't have a date, sometime this week.
It could be Friday or it could be next Monday. I just talked to him this afternoon.
But I don't have anything official to put before the board, but,
Well, we need to at least.
I responded, and I heard from Kyle, and, yep.
Okay, so, okay, what did I do? I forgot something that I was writing.
Actually, you
in the
can
middle
even
of that.
put that on the highway as far as I'm concerned, because Kurt's here, we can discuss it then.
Okay.
I missed something that we just talked about.
Road inventory and capital, budget proposal, Edward Cameron. That one came in today, and they all have printouts.
Okay. All right, well, it looks like it's all going up to your part of the agenda here, correct? So the first thing, where would you like to start? You want to start with the culvert sign off? You want to start with the inventory? You want to start with Chad? Where would you like to start?
We can start off with Chad and my friend.
Okay,
We're working on State Forest Road today. I stopped and talked to them, and hopefully they'll be ready by Friday to move the beams under. If it won't be Friday, it'll be Monday. But they'll notify mutual aid, and they'll tell me probably Wednesday or Thursday what day it will be. And then we can put it on the website, and they'll put up detour signs and stuff like that. So, notifying people that State Forest will be closed from the covered bridge to the New Fane Way, and from the covered bridge to the dam will be open, but they'll be closed in between.
So, and the dam, they're all done with everything up there, right?
Yes, they are.
So that's, and they're not gonna come back in the middle of it and both calls.
No. No, everything's pulled out of there.
As long as the dam knows that's gonna happen.
I already mentioned that to Chad to tell him.
okay, any other questions about that? All right, then why don't you explain the road inventory piece that we got today?
I received that from Hammond to culvert inventory. It was more than what he had told me on the phone.
It's not a culvert inventory.
I'm not culvert inventory, infrastructure.
Network inventory.
Yeah, structure, infrastructure network inventory. But I didn't realize all the meetings and stuff like that, you know, the select board meetings had everything itemized there. I know other towns use them. I have not done this yet. Wyndham Regional does not do it anymore. And we are gonna need it done. I can ask somebody else for a quote from them.
What, just, because I was reading through what he was gonna do,
Yes.
the kind of work and stuff, and I kind of said, well, doesn't Kurt do this? I mean,
I don't know the format or anything, or I have never done it. Don't even have the information on it.
because it seems to me like this is what he's gonna do. Identify extent of various distresses such as alligator cracking,
Right.
transverse cracking, edge cracking, patches, potholes, roughness, rutting, and drainage. I mean, you can tell where the potholes are, or if the road's cracking, or not. I mean,
I agree with you.
Well,
That's-
he's at $76.50 an hour. That's a lot of roads, you know.
Excuse me?
Before we do anything, let me talk to Matt Mann at Wyndham Regional
Okay.
and see if they have a format I can, you know, just plug.
Yeah, because this
Just
is-
plug and play. I was reading the whole thing. Ledge removal, muddy road, you know, muddy road spot, or muddy spots in the road, yeah. It's just,
You should come and watch.
It's all stuff that you know, isn't it?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
at least that's what I thought when I read this.
that's what when I went over with Wyndham Regional before, that's what we did. We drove and I told them, and I don't know what they did or how they used the information.
There should be like on maps, and there should be some folder paperwork that has things docked out by mile
That's
marker
the way,
per road.
that's the 2012 map back there, it's all marked off with culverts that need to be replaced, but a lot of that David did. But that was the map that when original put out.
He did that because, yeah.
Well, no,
The inventory getting that.
right, but that was part of the network inventory system, is that Wyndham Regional puts out a map.
Right.
Everett's proposing to get maps made or have maps, but it's also on a software system, I don't recognize.
But
that.
let me talk to Matt Mann first and see.
Because it seems like a lot of money for stuff that you already, I mean, you deal with it every day. And I guess what alerted me was his bill for the the Grafton Road culvert is $6,600 just to do oversight there, and it's,
He never did that, usually, you know.
I know, I was a little bit,
The last couple culverts, I did the oversight, and the plans are really easy to read.
but that's what the bill is today. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. It's
Well,
$6,600.
it was part of the overall contract, and this goes back when we got the grant.
Now, is that, but the V-Trans already paid them, we already paid them for that original.
Right, when we got the grant, it was broken into two pieces, because we didn't have the structures grant at the time that we actually were approved for the engineering, and the engineering was gonna take a while.
It was a two-stage.
It was a two-stage grant,
I was
just
on
like,
that.
just like West
It was
Hill
a
Bridge,
two-part.
just like,
Two-part
I know,
engineering.
I filled them up.
just like Bridge 42 is a two-part, we've already paid for the engineering. We paid him for the engineering on this culvert. He was also going to serve as the general contractor and file through all the paperwork for getting the grant, getting all that stuff submitted, and deal with the contractor and help select the contractor, which he did a year ago.
But he didn't do the follow-through paperwork either, right?
He's working on it now. I mean, that's why this invoice came in today to clean this up. The Renault invoices are in. I'm trying to get an invoice from our attorney because we worked on some easements. That won't be in until later on this week. Nonetheless, when all that's together, he will package that and send that out to get the grant. The money is in the grant. This is all budgeted. I mean, with the grant. We
Yeah,
have
I understand that.
a 10% cost to this. It's about 160
So this
and
is part
change.
of the contingency on the previous.
Well, this is the part of being a general contractor, and he was, signed on to keep an eye on this because it was of
Part of the
the
engineering.
project, part of the engineering. Right, you don't have to do that, but that was the way this was set up originally.
Because that's,
This goes back almost 3 years.
the stuff before, we never had engineered. And it all went through finding the other culverts and box culverts, we never had engineered. We had them as-built by the.
Yeah, you done it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it was done by the contractor, Renault did the last one.
Right, but the guy who builds a culvert, he comes in and tells you what you need.
Right.
Yeah,
And Mike knows exactly,
that's right.
so, but this was,
Okay.
There's also new V-Trans grant requirements too that are in there.
but anyways, okay. So let me get in touch before we do anything with this, and I'll just make sure we can't do it in-house.
Can you talk to him at some point?
Who, Everett?
Yeah, because he's gonna call me at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I'll call him tomorrow morning at 6.
Yeah, okay.
That's really interesting. There's no place to
Well-
sign off on it.
He does, I mean, if this is gonna go through, he does wanna get on it because the weather's great right now.
Right.
And it will be for the next 4 or 5 weeks, but after that, things come to a,
Is that a guarantee?
that's guaranteed.
Sign that.
That's guaranteed.
I see mixed precipitation Sunday.
Well, that doesn't prevent somebody from running the roads, but 4 feet of snow in the ditches does
So do you
make
have,
it pretty acceptable.
do you have the contract, for the sign off on the Army Corps?
I have that, yeah, did I copy that for our copy?
No.
Okay.
And I know you've got the original.
This it came through with my name typed on it, so I have that one. And I can sign it if you guys want me to, but I also copied it again. That's Homeland Security, we don't want that. Okay. And that's the way it arrived from Mr. Hammond with my name on it, so I cleanly copied it with nobody's name on it.
Okay, so this is a compliance certification for the Army Corps of Engineers for the culvert, the Grafton Road culvert. And it's basically asking us to sign that completed in accordance with the terms and conditions of the above referenced permit. And any required mitigation was completed in accordance with the permit conditions.
Yeah, my name is all over contact information, but I wasn't, I didn't think I was set on, just the administrative assistant to the board, but I'm not an authority on this. I don't have a problem signing off on it. Kurt already has for the most part, Hammond has, Renault has. I think the state has even looked at it, haven't they? Or were they going by when they were putting it in or something? You know, if Mark has been up or,
I do not know.
okay.
I could call him tomorrow about it, but I'm sure it's fine. He's a hard guy to get a hold of.
it wouldn't do any good at least for me to go out there and look at it, because I couldn't tell you if it was right or
That's
not.
what I'm saying, so I don't know.
Everything went in accordance to the plan that we had.
I mean, technically, we've hired an engineer, we're paying an engineer to do this. I would assume it was done according to the permit, if in fact it's been signed off
It's
for
been
by the
signed.
engineer.
It's been, he signed off on it, he sent his final bill through. I mean, everybody's
Evidently, we have
okay with
to
it.
say
so.
he's okay too.
This is just a formality for the file with the Army Corps of Engineers.
So I would entertain a motion to sign the compliance certification for the Grafton Road culvert.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of signing the compliance certification for the Grafton Road culvert signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. All right. So I'm gonna get a stamp, I've decided. Alright. Let's see. Then, before we go into the highway report, I just have one question for you about payroll from last week. Maybe you can clear up for us. You seem to have worked for Arnold one of the days last week.
Yes.
Was he out ill, or
Pardon me?
was he ill, or you couldn't get a replacement,
I
or?
could not get a replacement,
Okay,
and he was not there.
okay, so
Did he
that,
just not show up, or did he call in, or?
Yeah, he made previous arrangements a couple days before, because he had an appointment. So, and I called my father-in-law can't do it right now, his back bothers him, and he's kind of just humping around the garage there. I really don't have any other replacements.
We don't have a backup for that at all.
We were using Corey, but he can't do it.
well, it's,
We're gonna need a reliable backup at some point.
well, yeah, that would.
I was actually doing culvert inventory when I was working there, so it kind of worked out best.
You can do that, multiple things. Yeah, so could you at some time take a look around to see who might be available to act as a fill-in for him? Because my guess is the day's going to come rather soon when we need coverage.
It's just, anybody else can think of somebody too.
Yep. But yeah, that would be a good idea to have somebody in the wings just in case. So did you have a report for us or something for us, Mike?
Well, like I told you today, when we talked to not a lot has changed since last Tuesday, and we have Wednesday off. But I do have a problem with somebody. I have a citizen in town. I need a letter from the select board to have them move their vehicles out of the road. I've stopped her several times.
Onto the road or off of the road?
Out of the road. I stopped her 3 different times to no avail.
Okay.
Where?
Depot Road.
Simpson Brook,
12 Depot Road, huh?
top of Simpson Brook,
Then it's not in the road though.
very close.
It's not in the road.
How about Valley Cares?
Valley Cares.
Valley Cares, I've stopped talking to those guys. When they're done, they'll be out of there. They're still
When are they gonna be done?
I don't know.
Okay.
Done working for the day or done?
For the job, they're still in their work.
Done
Well,
rebuilding.
because it gets to the point where people literally have
Yeah.
to come to a complete stop so the other lane can travel through so that they can go out around.
Get a letter to Valley Cares in too.
I would, I think we
Make up
need
2
to.
letters and I'll.
I think we need to, just because it's,
And I said, well, I'm
especially
fine,
with
but I
weather
just-
coming
the
and that
signatures
kind
of
of
the
thing.
select board.
When they had the fire there and they had a huge crew, I mean, they had 40, 50 people working there. I could understand that on a
Yes,
kind
yes.
of a couple of days latitude, but it's become a permanent.
yeah.
Yeah, that,
There was over 6 of them out there this afternoon.
And that's what
Plus, it's
happens,
gonna
if
come winter
one
time.
parks, then another one does, then another one does.
So
'cause
did you say there's already a standard letter that's been,
no, a
We-
standard
we-
letter with the current signatures of the board would be good, then I could.
okay.
We do have,
template?
we have sent letters out to individuals in the past for
Right.
a couple of different reasons. We can,
If I remember,
We
it's
can
part
borrow.
of the parking ordinance.
Oh, absolutely.
oh, it is.
It's our winter,
Those things,
those things
are
are
in that parking ordinance, I remember.
But we don't have a current one with all everybody's signatures.
You wanna get a hold of me
No, not
tomorrow and
current
give me
board.
names and addresses, or at least
Sure.
names, and we'll look up the addresses, and I'll,
We have a current parking ordinance, right?
on Route 35 we do.
We haven't gotten the full thing.
No, but for winter parking?
Winter parking, yeah.
There's an effective from November 1st or whatever it is, it's an effect.
So they'll take care of getting that letter to you then with signatures,
We'll get a couple on there,
okay?
types in there.
And anything else?
I got your signs down the other day.
Thank you, finally.
I will put them up on posts
In the spring.
in the spring,
That'd
because
be
it's too close for the snow blower in those areas right now, so.
Okay.
Warrants and state forest.
What's on, are those the no parking signs?
The no parking signs that were on the telephone pole.
Call Pickering. Yeah, I did everything on the list from last week, so.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sterling update.
Who?
Sterling.
Oh, Sterling. I'm waiting for, front plate insurance card so I can get it inspected. It's ready to get inspected.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the warrant again tonight.
It's in that folder, it was right there.
As soon as I get that, put that in, when you guys told me, that, what, 3 meetings ago, we started the ball on that, because I called it in to get it done, so.
Now, he did mention earlier today that he doesn't have an insurance card for that truck.
There should be a copy in the vault or in the file.
There should be one through this year, we're gonna have to re-up it for next year, because we didn't.
After the
We
first
did
year.
re-up it last January, thinking it was only gonna last till March, and I left it open, not knowing how long we might keep the truck. Now that we are keeping it, I'm sure we're good for a full year, but we'll check it.
And if you don't, I can call up and get them,
Yep.
email me a card.
Are we due to keep getting more salt? Or are we done getting
We're
salt?
on salt. Somebody's hauling salt on State Forest Road, and, we're working on State Forest Road, and I got asked why we're putting salt on at 50 degrees. Somebody's body leaked all on Route 30, all the way up State Forest Road.
Cool.
I wish he was here, I know who was driving.
Okay, so there's anything else in there? Nope. Okay, all done here?
That's
Okay.
definitely retreat.
Ouch. Oh,
Keep the dust down.
yeah, there you go. Law enforcement, I don't know if you noticed, but in the bills, there's a bill to the
Tally sheet, of sorts.
state police.
Thank you.
Right.
It's just the hours, and they're really confusing to understand, but
But there was,
they do document their hours.
there was a bill there from the state police. The town clerk, you should have gotten a counter sheet of money taken in. And treasurer.
The money you can use is like $813,743.37. Because I subtracted about 160, you've got marked for other things.
And we should be getting reappraisal money, and when that comes through, you already signed instruction to the treasurer to move that
To move
out.
it, right.
And that's the lion's share of what's in reserves. It's over 100.
It's over 100,000.
Yeah.
That's what you subtracted. Okay, any questions for Joe? How are we doing with taxes this time around?
Well, it's like, Friday, I done, over 56,000. I done over 30, this morning. But I got 3 I had to hold until tomorrow, because the bank dated them for tomorrow.
No, that's typical. Okay.
One of the,
I didn't know you
Until
could
the
put a
30th.
data check through the bank.
Ordering
And
something every day.
Yeah,
anyway, warrants.
but you let me know.
I don't remember that. You're supposed to.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11161. Payroll in the amount of $8,072.49.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving payroll warrant 1161 in the amount of $8,072.49 signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number,
11162.
yep, 11162, it's different numbers. In the amount of $3,391.26.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 11162, which is payroll withholding in the amount of $3,391.26, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11163 of the general fund in the amount of $2,086.89.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
These, yeah, did we discuss these at another meeting?
No.
No, those are new.
Those are no. I'm not sure how that affects the tax rate either. I mean, every meeting we're given $2,000 and $3,000 in refunds.
That shouldn't affect the tax rate simply because that was overpayment of taxes.
Is overpaid, yeah.
Okay?
It has a minor effect maybe on
It
the
does,
purchase
some of it.
report as to what your balances are
Yeah,
time
yeah.
to time.
So
So each one of those was an overpayment.
it was an overpayment.
Or a late
Tax
filed
dollars.
homestead or something like that.
Most of it's homestead, isn't it, Joe? Most of those tax refunds?
Yeah, some of it,
I think Howard Graff was a
yeah.
Homestead.
Yeah, because he paid the whole thing and then,
Right.
of course,
Yeah.
they revised his bill, so
Yeah.
it's already paid. But I think there's a couple on land use, I'm not sure.
Maybe one. I know the second one isn't. The other leftover. So is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 11163 from the general fund, which are tax refunds in the amount of $2,086.89, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11164 out of the equipment fund.
Second.
In the amount of $7,355.51.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded that we pay warrant 11164 out of the equipment fund in the amount of $7,355.51. This is a warrant that was failed the last time. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 11164 from the equipment fund in the amount of $7,355.51, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? I'll vote aye. Motion passes. General fund.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11165 out of the general fund in the amount of $9,190.82.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so it's been first, a motion and a second. Okay, now discussion.
Well, like, this is the $12 light bulb for $68.55, right?
The five level.
Okay.
But I think that we discussed that sort of thing with the road foreman, did we not? Purchases and how that's
At another
working.
time.
Different.
But I believe that the general consensus were that those $12 light bulbs were going to be returned, so that
And I
this.
believe that was happening, right? That,
I don't, nobody's talked to me about it. You had an executive session, I
I
believe
think
it
that-
came up at,
yeah.
Kathy indicated that Kurt was gonna maybe put them aside or something like that, but I haven't heard. We have a bill, and I hadn't heard that they had gone back or that they were going back, so I just put in the bill.
So the bill's included in that total, so if we don't want to pay them, we need to deduct that from the $68.55 from the $91.90.
so you have to amend our original motion to do that. So either that or fail the motion and then.
Yeah, but we can't fail this whole thing. We've already got,
Well, you can fail it and then redo it, right? No, or do you wanna amend it now?
we can
I
go,
mean, I don't
okay,
care, it
then
don't matter to me, but
we
I'm
still
not
have to
gonna-
get a number.
Just, I will not vote in favor of paying $68 for a $12 light bulb.
6 light bulbs.
Running a tough stand.
So I don't know how you wanna,
Okay,
if
so
you wanna
that,
amend the motion or not.
you can do,
We
either
talked
way.
about cherry picking these, some of these, so we can begin to
I
get
would,
a
I would
handle on.
prefer you approve the motion less $68 and change, and we hold that one out. 'cause
We can
it
do
makes it
that.
easier.
Let me just see that for a minute.
I'm gonna amend my motion.
Well, no,
Since I gotta do the checks, but you can do a different warrant, number A or something if you want.
don't have to do it that way. So what, we can amend the motion,
This isn't right.
this isn't the right one. This is 64, this is equipment, need 65. What'd you get, 70?
$9,122.27.
Okay, so, why don't we go ahead, the motion on the table is to pay the $9,190.82. Let's, amend the motion to,
We don't have signatures on that warrant either. Let Kit look at that. Is that the only one on there, Kit?
Well, and then, were we gonna discuss the twin state truck for the fire department at this point in time, or what? Because that's on here also.
well, you can, because Dale or Joe could answer those questions, but I don't think it really, you can't refuse to pay it.
No,
The work's
no,
already been done.
yeah.
Well, the work that was done was on a, I don't know, it's a 90 or a 91 vehicle that never been.
97?
Oh, he's right, it's 91.
Is it 91?
I can't remember if it was a 97 or 91 they asked me earlier.
Yeah.
All right, so I just wanna make sure that that I do this correctly. And I would amend the motion that we pay warrant number 11165 in the amount of $9,122.27 and eliminate at this time paying account number, or Northeast Fasteners, but that's the account number, right? 100-5310-2.
Yeah, that's their,
That's the
that's their
line
particular
number.
invoice.
That's
number.
the invoice.
That's their invoice number.
Price,
Just a day. So, and how much is that? 68.35?
yeah,
Something?
Yes.
68.35?
68.55.
55. Okay. So the amendment would be, if it's approved, would be to pay check warrant 11165 in the amount of 9122.27 less 68.55 from Northeast Fasteners.
Right,
So, is there, you made the
I
motion,
did.
is there a second to the
Second.
amendment? Is there any discussion about the amendment? All those in favor of approving the warrant 11165 in the amount of $9,122.27 less the Northeast Fastener bill of $68.55, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion passes.
Okay.
You don't need some signatures though. All right.
Next one.
Yep,
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11166 out of the highway fund in the amount of $82,971.24. majority of which is the final payment on a Grafton culvert.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Basically, I just want to note that, in fact, the Grafton culvert came in at $6,413 over the accepted bid price on that. But research today has shown that there was a contingency thanks to
There was
Mr.
a
West
5% contingency was
There
put
was-
into the motion for recommendation. and
was-
Mr. West made the motion.
was built into that, so that in fact this will be,
Covered
Covered.
90% by the grant, our share of that
So we'll have
overage. And
about
it was a
6,000.
necessary overage, but our share of the overage would be about $600.
is there any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 11166 in the highway fund in the amount of $82,971.24 signify by saying aye. All those opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11167 out of the town equipment fund in the amount of $874.26.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, that's just miscellaneous cleanup. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 11167 from the equipment fund in the amount of $874.26 signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11168 out of the highway fund in the amount of $7,436.06.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
This, you have Hammond Culvert, is that the one that
This
he's,
is the labor.
This is the labor
His-
on the,
his-
the oversight.
I thought that was part of the, grant. The 6,000, what is it? his bill is what, 6,000?
Yeah, $6,652.50.
6,652.
It will be paid
We'll
for
be
out of the
measuring
grant.
the front end.
It is
So it'll come out of the grant, right?
Right.
Less 10%.
Less than 10%.
Less than 10%, but it's still part of that Renard, that whole
Yeah,
grant.
it's still part of that, yep.
Okay.
And there are some legal fees in there that will be forthcoming as part of that as well.
Right. So, the 6,600 plus is gonna get reimbursed to us.
So that will get reimbursed at 90%.
Okay, so is
And that
there,
goes back into highway, right? Not general fund. It's coming out of highway.
It goes to Joe, I don't know where it goes from there.
It should go back.
It goes back to highway.
Well, that's what, just to make sure that people see.
well, let's put it this way, it depends on where the bookkeeper took the money from to begin with. So, it could be, it goes wherever it came from.
Yeah, as long as it does.
Steel computer paper.
I don't care, as long as it does.
So,
Yeah.
is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of paying warrant 11168 for the highway fund in the amount of $7,436.06 signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed, abstentions, motion passes.
Make a motion to approve check warrant report number 11169 out of the town general fund in the amount of $1,549.50.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving warrant 11169 for the town general fund in the amount of $1,549.50 signify by saying aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. Okay. Get that. Dale, members of the public, did you have something you want to say?
I actually had a little update from the last time I was here. I talked to you guys about, we were talking about radios and maybe putting something up on the AT&T tower. I've actually approached a couple town residents to kind of see if they'd be willing to work with me. And I actually had one that said he would, Tim Bell. He's a ham operator, and he helps on the emergency management side a little bit. We're actually kind of been discussing some of the fire department's issues and some of the town. I've actually ran into Ed the other day, and he was telling me they were still having some communication issues, which I knew they had the same ones, but either way, him and I had kind of had a little discussion and had thought about, we may be in the future come to you guys with a different type of proposal or a different idea to maybe try to figure out how to design a radio communication system for the town, and maybe not necessarily use the assets that we think we're gonna use now. We're actually looking at widening our scope and to see what else is around in town, or talk to some of our neighbors and see what they're using, to see if maybe somehow making a partnership together, co-op together or something, maybe just throwing some friendly talk out there. And just wanted to give you guys a little update on that. And if you happen to hear any chatter, that's probably what it is. Only thing that him and I did discuss is that we do know that you guys have put money aside in this year, in the budget that's this year. And the only thing that I know on the fire department side, I helped Joe with the budget. I put some more money into that communications line item for the next year's proposed budget. And the only thing is I asked is maybe to see if you guys in the town would be willing to see if we could keep that money pooled and keep it rolling over a little bit. We've roughly looked at ideas as systems of an idea, probably will cost around the $20,000 to $30,000 range of trying to do something that would help. We're not really sure financially how much it's gonna cost and what types of options that we would come up with now. The only thing is we're concerned that if we have that money in this year's budget and then we just let it go back and then it becomes surplus and then it gets dished back out, give it back, we're gonna have to raise that money again. That's the only concern, for food for thought for later. I just really wanted to come in and give you guys a heads up or an update, and that and if there's anyone out there that's interested in helping us, they're more than welcome to contact me.
April, May, and June is when historically one would ask to reserve money that hasn't been spent.
Right.
But the select board, well, I won't say select board, elected officers change sometimes in March.
Right.
So depending on where you're likely.
Right, so that's why I'm just giving you guys a friendly update, but we kind of discussed that, and that was some of our concerns when we started working, trying to figure something out. We were actually looking at different rounds. We actually, one of the ideas is I'm gonna try to make contact with VTEL. VTEL's took over the tower that's up on Hazelwood Hill. And see if they'd be willing to see if they'd allow us to do something with them. I happen to notice they got a public service board amendment change on their permit here just a couple of years ago to put up a wireless internet system up there. And I believe they took over ownership of it. It may be still a property owner owned, but I'm just gonna put my advantage out to them and ask them, what's going on? Is there something we could do? I think honestly that would be one of our best places than going over here on to try and build something for the town. And there might be something that's already up in a different town that might work, so I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we're trying to do something.
It looks like there was about 5,000 put in this year's budget for the communications piece.
Yep, for the fire department side, and I remember there's 5,000 put in the highway
And
for
there's,
that portion.
Who was Ed that you were talking to?
Ed, your road crew member.
Smith.
What knowledge does he have on telephones and phone communication?
I just asked them, are they able to talk to each other anymore?
Dead spots.
Dead spots still. The idea is to build
That
something
tower.
that we're trying to build something that will,
That tower on Hazel Hill was approached at some point in time, 3 or 4 years ago, with regard to that.
and
it was met with-
and Green Mountain Power, well, it was CVPS was actually up there, and they were the ones maintaining it, and it has changed. I know David was working on trying to see if the town could take it over and then lease it out, and that
Well, we
never
were just
came
gonna,
to
we were
do.
just gonna attach a small antenna to
Yeah.
it, you know, that would hit some of the spots, but then this one over here came up, so, I don't know,
It's definitely up higher.
yeah.
It's just food for thought, and just wanted to give you guys an update. I don't want to take up all your night. You guys are on a pretty good target here. Get out of here pretty decent.
so is there anything else, Dale?
Nope, I was just I didn't know if there was any questions about the fire department stuff, and the answer goes, and, all right.
Okay, then let's do the FEMA update first, and then we'll take a look at the budget, which you all have a copy of. So, FEMA update?
Yeah, I'll find a piece of paper here. I talked to Greg Whitcomb today. I got an email from Terry Garland who said that Greg Whitman was sending me an email, so he did. I called him and talked to him about this whole East Hill thing. It is ready to be closed out, and what he needed from me, basically, and I already sent it back, but basically the sub-grantee, he needed a document from me. As assistant here, the sub-grantee is not claiming direct administrative costs associated with project worksheets in accordance with Public Assistance Policy 9525. With that, with my signing that, we are basically closed out on East Hill and basically in the queue for payment. Maybe a couple of weeks, but basically it is done. They've taken what I submitted last year. Everything has been, Terry's been a big help in getting this pushed through. We have a new representative. This direct administrative cost part of it is about $400 in there, which I chose to get this back to him to get this going, to forego because it's not well documented. It's time for Kim and time for Clerk on the administrative side, for which there really aren't clear records broken down by hour, broken down by pay rate, so on and so forth. And those things need to be established for proving. Because it was only a couple $100. We are looking at a minimum. We're looking at 90%, and right now what is in there is $167,500 at a minimum. There may be some other payments coming for the emergency work in 2011, early 12. I'm not sure if we got reimbursed for all those contractors and all the gravel. I think we did. But anyway, the state will let us know whether we did get partial payments for them. But this is for the big project that happened in 2013-14 at $167,500. So we're looking at $150,500 coming in at a bare minimum, and that should be within weeks.
So are there any questions on that? Long time coming.
It's a long time coming, and I went out on a limb because he said he really needed to get this through. But since I've been processing this for a year, and Terry recommended that I do it, and I talked to him and he said, hey, it doesn't amount to anything, it's $400. I said, fine, we'll get it in. So I scanned it and sent it back to him.
So are there any questions on that?
So we should have an acknowledgement of closeout here shortly.
Okay, so you all got a packet with the proposed budget in front of you. It's the one with the alligator clip.
And if I can spend 1 minute, I'll just explain that as best I can. I don't know where mine is, it doesn't really matter. It's here. This is a comparative budget report which includes, which gives you in the far right-hand column a proposed budget for next year, and in the second column from the right, what we're working with right now. You don't know, because it isn't on here, it doesn't print that way, how much we've actually spent out of this year's budget. In the two columns on the left, you have the budget for 2015 and what was actual for 2015 for comparisons. Of most interest to you probably is the proposed budget in the far right-hand column. And in many cases, I either left the numbers the same as this year's or went with departmental reports where the listers put in their budget, the town clerk put in her budget, municipal budget, the fire department included their budget, so on and so forth. Everything in that right-hand column is not fixed until after town meeting. We can change any numbers you want in there. So this is your budget. I thought by making a proposal, it's easier than handing you a piece of paper with a lot of blank lines. All the departments have put in their budget proposals so far. I put in one for the auditors because the auditors haven't gotten together. And you don't have highway, you don't have equipment, and that's 80% of the
Shoot,
spending.
that's what we were supposed to ask Kurt tonight.
He hasn't worked on it to the best that he hadn't last week.
The listers gave, this is their proposal?
Yes, sir, and I actually have an original draft. I made 5 photocopies of it so you could have it in real, so you could have it on real
30%.
paper. Let me get budget proposals for next year.
No, it's
I
fine.
kind of thought that might.
the Worcester office.
In the finance office, we don't have any cost this coming year, that's gonna be all free.
Cool.
Yeah, well, I gotta
Did you
talk to,
tell
I
Terry?
gotta talk to Terry about that, and see where we're actually going with that. That's
Yeah.
all, but it's all, yeah,
No.
it's all,
It's all good.
it's been free for a while.
Yeah.
All on kids' time.
Yeah, you can share with Kathy, I think she's already got one.
Oh, I thought we had,
Oh, yeah, I've already seen that.
There you go. You two can share that one. Anyway, that's the original from, Worcester's, the first thing on there. And I have one from Dell for the fire department, fire vehicles. We have one from, Anita as well. This does not show increase in pay rate. Again, the biggest portion of this is I'm not touching highway, I'm not touching equipment, that's for you guys. But on the municipal side, I left things pretty much the same. We're gonna have to talk about electricity because I'm still got a couple questions on that, how that's all gonna work out. And on repair work, renovations, town hall, those are things that
is this, I'm sorry, this is to share, you need that back?
no, you can have that if you want. That's up to you. It represents about a 30% increase. I was
It does,
surprised, and I didn't have an explanation for it, so I thought I'd just,
Well, as you
Plug it on
look
in
at
there.
it, its explanation is in wages, in travel and meetings. But that's for discussion later.
So one of the things that we're going to sooner or later have to have a discussion about is wages. Because really not, you can't get to the nitty gritty on these budgets until you have that discussion.
I only had to deal with wages as reflect the first two lines on the first page, which is select board, and I froze you, and I froze myself. Not out of any desire to do that. When you get to town clerk, I think you'll see that she put herself in for an increase. But anyway, that all stems from you guys and how you wanna either work your way through individuals or whether you want a blanket or however else. The library is requesting what the wage is gonna be for next year so they can plug in their numbers as they do that as well, in terms of casual labor rate.
Well, I just noticed that those that have submitted budgets have given themselves significant wage increases.
Well, I don't.
But again, I think that's a matter for our discussion when we go sit down and do our budget.
Absolutely. If we elect Bernie Sanders, then I'm just gonna go with minimum wage and be very, very happy.
I'm going to school.
So is there, I would like to get a commitment to actually begin work on this budget tonight.
As I say, every number in the far right-hand column is only proposed, nothing is fixed, absolutely nothing. It's all fluid, changes real easy. So if you redline, if you give me a counter proposal, if you decide something, it's very easy to change. Once you know what your spending is, we can guess at revenue, which is, you know, state aid to highways and those things which are relatively fixed. I don't know where the grants are gonna go now that they're grants, payment in lieu of tax kind of stuff. But we can plug those numbers in and then we have to begin to think whether we're gonna end up with, well, then we end up with looking at surplus deficit from last year, which was, there was a surplus, slight. And then we can begin to look and see how that might impact, well, whether the budget is up or down and how that might impact taxes, because that's really your bottom line, one of your bottom line concerns. I also have to type up a warrant for town meeting. At least get that begun within the next 4 or 5 weeks. It's also on the agenda, but I'm beginning to block that together. It doesn't get finalized until the last day for petitions to come in that get added to the warrant, but I need to know if we're putting in for a new truck, because we're on a 5-year cycle and the 2011 International needs to be replaced. Those kinds of things are for the board to decide, and it's not a quick decision at the table necessarily. It can be done in a budget, but it's a think it through and make a decision about it, but those are important.
We need the highway proposed budget from Kirk before we get into doing all that.
I understand that, but
I
that's,
mean, you're gonna have to have
it's
a
80% of
budget
something.
meeting with Kirk. I mean, you know, go the whole line item with him. That's what we had to do before. We have to meet with Kirk and do a line item and spend a night or whatever it is and get the highway budget nailed down.
80% of the town is, 80% of taxes raised go to the schools, 80% of what we keep goes to the highway. So,
So what's your pleasure? How do you want to go about this?
Well, you have to have a budget workshop. I mean, that's the,
I know, I tried to nail dates down last week.
Anytime
And
after
got
the
nowhere.
no, I said last week, I said, you put the date there. I'll be here if I possibly, good Lord willing, if I fall down and break an ankle and I won't. Well, I might even then.
if you break an ankle, I'm calling ankle.
He's calling ankle doodles.
I'll rescue.
No,
Well, let's
Kyle
go.
won't
We
be
gotta
there.
get a few more items down on the agenda before
You
we do
will.
that.
We did what?
I say we have to get down a few items on the
They did
agenda
shout
before we
at
call
the
this
good
we
stuff.
forget.
Oh, I see, okay. So, looking at dates,
There's
What's-
calendar on the wall here.
what day would be a possibility for anybody? I don't really care. We've got to get this started.
Thursdays and Fridays are definitely the most difficult for me. And I've said that before, but
We can all take the
you have to,
Greenfield and talk
you've
about
got
it.
to,
How about Wednesdays?
You tell me one.
Well, do you want to do it this week on Wednesday? I thought I swear to God I got something, I don't know what it is. So the 25th? That's the day before Thanksgiving.
I think the proposal is over.
Monday, 23rd.
You want to stick with Monday? That's what we got,
That's fine.
we got a fifth Monday.
Monday the 23rd.
Sunday the 23rd, Rob?
Sounds good?
Huh?
next Monday.
All right, what time? Six? 5? 2:30 in the afternoon? I don't care. That's just nap time, he can't be here.
He stays up all night watching traffic, he's living.
Whatever you guys want to do. 6 is fine.
6 one. How about you, getting dark?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I can
That's
do,
fine.
I can do earlier. I'm gonna not do it.
5:36, either one.
Yeah.
5:30? Let's do 5:30 on the 23rd. And could you please notify Kurt that we're going to have a workshop? And we need some place to begin with the highway? Please?
I would opt for everything being filled out, and then when you go down the line, it can be either or plus or minus, but,
Well, it'd be nice to have a project target list too.
well, yeah.
Well, again, we can't really get to anything in the highway until we get some kind of feedback.
So you know what you're doing for the next full year, big
Right.
projects, and
Well, that's what he was told. Okay, so now in the end, on the warning, one thing we had talked about were the 2 land leases, the solar lease and the lease coming up for Grace Cottage. Did we make a definitive decision that we were going to advertise those in the paper? Or did we decide we wanted to put those in the town warning?
I think that I thought that we wanted to do it separate, and not do a town meeting.
So we're gonna,
That was my feeling, and I thought that's where we were at, but
we can do them 3 ways. Excuse me, because they're a long-term commitment involving more than 5 years. You can either take them to town meeting and open them up for floor discussion. You can hold a special public hearing by picking a date and inviting the town in. Or you can simply publish them 3 days in a row in the newspaper and post warnings in 5 usual places and spread the word as best you can, allowing the public to attend regular meetings and ask questions, but basically petition within a 45-day period of time. The easiest and most efficient way to do it is to publish it in the paper. Both of these are basically grandfathering. One needs to be cleaned up, the sovereign one needs to be cleaned up, but everybody's been very accepting of that. Grace Cottage is rolling over, essentially. There's nothing new and controversial about either one. And it's not cheap to publish legal notices in the paper, but it's not, I wouldn't recommend town meeting because you'll eat yourself up for an hour.
So
with
we don't
one.
wanna do a town meeting just because so many other issues going on, I think it should be done before town meeting, or just have a, I don't care, I just do a public hearing, why do you wanna publish it? I mean,
You have to.
yeah, but you don't have to publish the whole,
No, we publish a synopsis of it. and
Right.
let
Yeah,
people know
yeah,
that-
Intended to,
Yeah,
right.
a couple of keywords, a couple of the gist of the idea. The select board is entertaining the idea of a 25-year lease.
yep,
with-
yep.
I got a serious feeling there's a lot of people don't even read the Brattleboro reformer.
No.
I'd like to find another code.
News
Every year,
pamphlet, not a newspaper, it's pamphlet now.
every year, we
have more
we go
paper
through what is the paper of
Given to
record.
us at this meeting than that paper has in it.
So why don't we then go ahead and get this ball rolling with the warnings?
Okay.
Let's get the warnings written up on both of them. We're gonna need some help with the solar field one, I believe.
For publication.
For
Not-
publication,
Right,
right.
not for a warning per se,
Right.
not for town meeting.
And at least get the language going so that we can begin our countdown. I'd like to have it cleaned up before town meeting, so that if in fact something does come up, we could handle it there if need be.
Okay, and we had discussed any terms for Grace Cottage or any of that, but I guess we'll just copy over the last one
The only thing that we
and
had
make sure it meets legal muster.
with Grace Cottage, there was just some discussion at one point in time about the fee.
About the
About the fee for the
Yeah,
cemetery commission.
Okay.
And the best one, I've heard nothing more on that.
No, I haven't on it.
So let's just go ahead
All right, we'll
and
get,
leave things alone and begin work on the language so that we can get through our 45-day window.
Yep.
Okay. And the town report, we still have a two-person committee, I think it is. Is it two? 1.5? 1.25.
Is it at least one?
I don't want to.
It's one whole.
I don't want to divide on camera. Yes, it's at least a whole number, yes. Yeah, no, it's about 2. But our new auditor has expressed an interest.
Yes,
and,
she has.
Hopefully, get them together before Thanksgiving.
Well, it would be nice to at least figure out how extensive this was gonna be. There's
It's
been
getting
no,
less extensive all the time.
absolutely, because there's been absolutely no contact with any of the outside entities that usually feed
We have
into.
requests for social services, but we haven't had any information for publication. yet,
Right.
So to speak.
We haven't been asked for.
No.
You're not gonna get it
And
unless
we-
you ask for it.
We have questions about, I mean, the biggest part of the town report may be the school report, and we may be looking down the road for co-payment on the publications and the preparations and all of that.
If then that costs you 1.5 times, because you get into penalty fees.
Yeah, okay, anyway.
Anyway, so yes, we need to, if at all possible, get that
We have a few things up
Group-
against the deadline here.
group together so that we can at least discuss how extensive it's going to be.
Just remember, it's tax dollars paying for tax dollars paying
Yeah.
for.
Well, we
Okay,
need a budget, that's the most important.
then moving on to new business, we've received a copy of the new contract for rescue for next fiscal year.
You had received it, right?
Oh, really? Did we eat it?
Did you find it?
Yeah, it's right here.
There you go.
There you go. It looks like in fact, I know for a fact, the rates
I
are
did get, this is the clean.
going up they're going up by 3%.
Clean, you have the, go ahead.
No, you've got the original copy, I've got a photocopy. How come my name's on one side of this and his name's on the front?
That's about equality. Shame, 50-50.
No, mine's only on the part where they're charging money. His isn't.
Yeah.
that's the new one. That's the increase one.
That's the invoice amount. I don't know, last year's is in your budget piece. It's up 3%.
It's up 3, yeah.
I wanna say it was 33, 32.
I've got it right here, if you want, so.
Yeah, it's 33,000. 32. It's 32,919.04.
Okay.
And now it's 34.
Yep,
250.
there it is. Because we budgeted last year 33.2.
Yeah, all right, So what happens if we enter into contract for the fiscal year 2016, 2017, and insert this amount in the budget for the contract, and it does not get approved at town meeting?
It's not a town meeting item.
Well, the expense is.
No.
It's
It's
not a line
it's an
item.
annual contract for 33,000.
It's a line item. It's included in the budget. It's not a separate line item.
So if the budget doesn't pass, you have
Right, you-
obligations,
Then you gotta,
legal obligations that you have to fulfill.
you still
But
have to
then you'd
fulfill.
have to, yeah, you'd have to cut somewhere else.
So if the budget doesn't pass, you're gonna, that's what I'm saying, if that budget doesn't pass, you gotta cut it somewhere. I'm just saying, playing devil's advocate here a little bit. To enter into a contract prior to having an approved budget, you're spending money before the budget, before it's approved, that's all. That's what I'm saying.
You do that in a few other contracts.
Oh, I know we do, I know.
Quite a
I'm
few
just-
other
I'm
contracts.
just-
Yeah.
Again, I'm not opposing
Well,
it, but I
when
think it
solid
needs to
waste
be
is a
noted
pretty good example.
that we're entering into a contract before we have the approved finances to do that. That's what I'm saying.
So one way or another, do you want to postpone the discussion on the contract until later? What do you want to do?
No, discuss it, I just thought that's what we were doing, was discussing it.
Well, I'm just saying, do you want to postpone it and not
It
make
is,
a
it is
decision?
one, it is one of the larger contracts of the 4 or 5 that you get into before town meeting.
Yep.
And cumulatively, if the town turned it down, you'd be scrimping. I mean, you'd be shutting off lights and heating the building in places because of that. But between VLCT and Wyndham Solid Waste Management and other ones that you do sign up
county
for
tax.
insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, you know. There are quite a few commitments that are made before.
And the only reason these contracts come out when they do is so that the select boards have a real, true number to work with when they're doing the budgets.
And some of them actually take effect January 1st, like your Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
Now, law enforcement's always been separate, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I think there's been a real roller coaster ride between different law enforcement agencies as to how the town, I mean, if you contract with the sheriff for 3 years, then people start complaining about the sheriff not showing up or showing up, and they wanna go with the state. So and ever since we stopped splitting it between the two agencies,
I make a motion, we enter into a contract with Rescue Incorporated for the fiscal year 2016, 2017 for assessment of $27.80 based on the 2010 census numbers of 1,232 residents for a total of $34,249.60. To be paid in monthly invoiced amounts of $2,854.17.
Is there a second? We can't technically vote on this.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Now, if they're not allowed to park their, Rescue Inc. isn't allowed to park their ambulance at the hospital, where are they gonna park the vehicle?
They park in the garage.
Alright, well, I mean, that letter there just kind of states that they're not gonna be able to, right?
No, we keep them in the garage. I didn't look at it.
Well, but if they weren't allowed to park it at Grace Cottage, where would they park it? And if they aren't parking it
They
there-
are allowed to park it, the ambulance is parked in the garage at Grace Cottage. The crew is still stationed on the campus of Grace Cottage. And this letter is with regard to a grant that is being applied for a new structure in West Townsend. That one has nothing to do with the other. All right, so.
Do you know that population, does that include, Valley Cares?
It would, yes.
It does include the
It would.
resident.
Valley Cares is part of our assessment,
I know that.
even though they're technically resident. I mean, they.
They are residents of Townsend.
They are residents in
That's what I'm asking.
Townsend, and they're included in our census data.
Because just, as a note, the majority of Townsend's rescue calls are to Valley Cares.
And on things where we've had this conversation in previous years,
Oh, I
but
know.
on things like the Wyndham County tax or something where you're basing it on the census data, there are, Valley Cares is still fairly small, well, it's not going to expand that much, but it is relatively small. But where you have a large entity come into town like that, where you don't have residents paying taxes, for example, it can put an increased burden on the community that is. Because census data drives a lot of.
That's right, yeah.
And the one thing that it's okay to note that in fact there's a lot of calls to that area, but you should also know that the number of calls to Valley Cares has nothing to do with the assessment.
Well, the number of calls really doesn't have nothing to do with, it doesn't matter whether it's Valley Cares or wherever.
Wherever it
No,
is.
I understand that, that's done.
Right, on per capita. All right, so the motion on the table is to enter into the contract with Rescuing for 2016-2017. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
I abstain. The motion is going to have to fail. All right, moving on. There was a letter that was written.
Would make a motion that we signed a letter of support for Rescue Incorporated's proposed project up in West Townsend for building new rescue quarters.
Okay.
Next agenda.
Is there,
Everyone has a copy of it, so that, and it just essentially states that the select board supports rescues
Staying in the community.
staying in this community and plans to build up in West Townsend. And this is part of the ongoing grant process and everything that the town supported, so.
so is there a second for that?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to have the Select Board Secretary, Henry Martin, sign a letter of support for Rescue Inc.
So move.
Now, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of having the board secretary sign a letter of support for Rescue Inc. signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Can I show you saying that?
No, you're okay, you should be okay, I can't.
Okay.
Okay, so I had an aye,
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? One abstention. Motion passes, so you can go, if you could sign, no, the one with the letter, if you would. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next piece, other business. We need to have an update on what's going to happen in Greenfield on December 4th. Concerning the pilot, Craig did in fact get a hold of the commission and request a slot on the agenda. And he was told in not so many words that we could not have a slot on the agenda, that we were welcome to contribute as members of the public, with no specific time or notability other than just being a member of the public. So the question becomes, we have a big meeting this Thursday out at the dam with all the federal representatives.
Here first, right?
Here first,
Here at
right,
10.
and then at the dam. To discuss both pilot and to discuss dredging the dam. And my question to you tonight, since we will not have another meeting before the 4th of December, is given where we may or may not go on Thursday, is it worth Craig's and mine and Emily Long's, Representative Long's time to go to Greenfield and sit in the audience if they're not even going to do us the courtesy of putting us on the agenda and we were told to keep our comments brief?
I would think, yes. That's my own opinion is I think yes. I think that we ought to make an issue of it at Thursday's meeting with all the representatives that we possibly can.
An issue
So,
about not being able to speak?
Yeah, and because we're going to discuss the pilot anyhow.
Did they give you that verbally, or?
It's written.
There was
Because
an
I think
email.
that'd be a good thing to bring and be like, hey, you
Oh, well,
know, we've got a
well,
serious.
We will have that. The commission no longer takes assessed values and figures out the payment in lieu of tax, which is why it's been frozen in part for the last 30 years. It's been frozen for 40, but they've reneged for 30 of it in looking at any changes in that payment. And in requesting that we have a slot on the agenda, they kindly responded that we were welcome to come. We could sit with the other people as long as we kept our comments brief. We were allowed to comment. And it wasn't very encouraging. We do have representatives, state representatives, in which Emily Long was the champion on, that are coming to discuss this issue on that Thursday. And
I'll be here Thursday, hopefully.
Right, and the
I think
question-
we ought to encourage them to go to Greenfield with us. I think we need to show that commission some force. I think not to go will show that, oh wow.
Who represents Vermont in that commission?
the appointees I've got their names, but they're gubernatorial appointees, a couple
From
of
up
them.
north.
They're from up north.
I think we need to go.
Well, it's just, I'm gonna be honest, I'm getting kind of tired of beating my head against a wall. I've had go-arounds with multiple people in town over this whole issue, even though this was not our issue to begin with. I'm getting kind of tired of being dumped on.
Well, the pilot issue is ours.
Well, the pilot issue is ours, yes, but the fact that we sat here and we designated somebody to be the point person,
That's right.
and the point person has not been the point person, and it's fallen back on Craig and I to pick up the pieces. And again, I hate to it's another night out for me, it's another night out for Craig.
No, it's a morning.
It's a morning, excuse me, it's not a night.
Pancakes.
Pancakes. And, yeah, it just, if it's gonna be futile to begin with, if they're already looking at us as, keep your statements brief, and you can sit in the audience.
But I don't
So what do
think
you
it
think they're gonna
did.
throw you out if you don't keep it brief?
Oh, no, I just, in one of my comments, one of the things was that
I'd like to see them try.
this is a commission which doesn't have the authority, because they've given up the authority by changing their bylaws, to even listen to our concerns, nor do they have no obligation to listen. But to go down there and simply be put into the minutes as having attended has merit if there's a further plan beyond that. If it's a precursor to, if it's a shot over the bow toward. And I don't know what the overall game plan is, because I don't know that the goals of any of this have actually been identified or pointed out. It is a 5-hour round trip to go down for the meeting, and it is a Friday morning for both of us, in front of, I mean, Terry will be here by herself, I've got warrants to do and payroll to do, but nonetheless, and to have a state representative or two go with us is a fine thing. But if there's no teeth to going, if there isn't something that's gonna hit them before Christmas as a result of this, just simply being put in the minutes that nobody's gonna read hardly seems, and then of course you don't know until maybe that morning whether they have a quorum to even hold a meeting or not.
Which they
until
may
you get
not
there.
have, right.
Well,
I agree with Kid 100%.
The goal of it is to get them to hear us about the pilot.
But they can't take it anywhere and they won't
that's-
do anything. Right.
But that's the road we have to travel.
No, I disagree
And I think
because,
I think to not go is,
Well, it's giving up in advance.
It's
but it
giving
would
up in advance.
But unless you took a different tack.
and that may change with our meeting on
On
Thursday,
Thursday,
and if that
exactly.
changes with our
And as-
meeting on
and as
Thursday.
Kathy said, you don't, the board itself as a board does not meet before the December 4th meeting. This is the last meeting of this month. We should be here on Thursday. But in terms of talking about this particular going to Greenfield, this is an opportunity. There will be more opportunities, but not officially informal.
I think you need to go.
And that's good, that's fine.
And that may, in my opinion, may change Thursday when we have the discussion with the representatives and that kind of thing and how that, but I don't think we wanna fold our hand yet.
Well, I don't think the alternative is folding the hand. There's
Well-
been talk about approaching, having the Attorney General do something, having the Governor do something. I've indicated it'd be nice to just send out tax bills and,
Well,
to the Department of the Interior, to the unit of the states.
But-
But the commission itself really is impotent in its ability to do anything, and I don't think they have any interest in hearing us.
In the
But
beginning,
nonetheless, it's
they
symbolic.
probably don't.
Right.
But I think we have a stronger position when we go to the governor and say, listen, we went to the commission meeting. And this is what happened at the commission meeting. Yeah, I think there's value in going to that meeting.
I
Really
don't
do.
disagree from that point of view. Not sure how interested the governor is at this
Well,
point, but-
I'm not sure how interested the governor is either, but we are on record of doing
Yeah.
everything that we possibly can. And to not go, I think I think we need to go.
alright, so,
I think it has
That's a
more,
due-
I
that's a
think
due
it has
diligence,
merit.
yeah.
so anyway, there is, as was stated, there is a meeting, at 10 o'clock here with, the 3 federal legislative representatives' offices. I believe we're having 3 legislators from the state of Vermont will be here. I'm trying to remember who else is going to be here. The press is going to be here.
Army Corps was gonna meet us at the dam,
They're gonna
I
meet us at the
believe.
dam.
There will be press, 3 state representatives, 3 federal. Don't look at it that way.
And then any of us that can show up, I have also
Planning commission
requested
members,
that,
selectmen,
that the planning commission also
and
have
at
representatives.
least one member of the public.
Oh, I forgot about that, okay. So yes, the more the merrier to play in this
Mud pit.
budget, yes. The Leland Gray has an emergency management meeting scheduled as a follow-up on December 3rd at Dutton Gym. And Dale, that's the one that they did invite Doug Wynot to. If you want to have, the fire department wants to have a representative go just to see what's being discussed, but we're not at this point where the fire department would have specific roles.
For those who have read cryptic emails, I did go to that, Kathy did go to that, a meeting earlier in the month, actually the end of October, I believe. And the town was it was requested of the town that we get Knox boxes, which are simply weatherproof boxes that mount to the outside of buildings in which institutions put master keys to all the doors. Those boxes are openable by very special, very restricted keyways. We did order those, I did order those boxes. I've got 5 of them coming in probably later on this week. The keys arrived today. And those will be, 2 will be mounted at Leland and Gray and 2 will be mounted at the elementary school. Per request of Leland and Gray and the elementary school. We will be billing them for those, for the cost of those. They're not cheap.
No. And did we actually get the system to lock the locks up?
We have keys to lock the boxes up. It's not a recording system whereby anybody who unlocks it is on record of it. But it's the simplest, least expensive. It'll be efficient. We'll make some determination as to, and it's not mine, it's only for me to purchase order and get a signature sheet for whoever signs, whoever gets the keys to sign out for. But emergency management and other advisors will have to determine where the keys are gonna go and how that's gonna work. But anyway, the principal at the high school, principal at the elementary school is looking forward to having those put in the next couple of weeks. And there is another meeting, a follow-up meeting on some of this on December 3rd at the high school.
All right, and then the 4th is the meeting in Greenfield. And then our regular board meeting will be December 7th. So if there's any
Budget
other-
workshop.
Oh,
Budget
budget
workshop.
workshop, yeah, next Monday at 5:30, I think is what it will. So, is there any other business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:28.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor, there wasn't a second either, but I'm thinking somebody will.
Don't need it.
All right, we're adjourned.
Are you serious?